third aliyah of chapter 29, verse 15. Ki atem yedatem et asher yashavnu be'eretz Mitzrayim. Excuse me, because you know. So basically, what we've just said is that Moshe says that Hashem is making a covenant on the day he dies. Hashem is making a covenant both with everybody who was there with them in person and those who are not there with them in person. So the future generations, how could there be a covenant? So the pasuk says, because you know at Asher Yashavnu be'eretz Mitzrayim, you know how we dwelt in Egypt, Beit Asher Avarnu b'kerav hagayim Asher Avartem, and you know that we passed through the nations that you passed through. Look at Rashi. Okay, but Rashi says we have to read the two psukim together. You saw the other nations' abominations. Their idols, stone, wood and stone, kesef is zahav, gold and silver, asher imahem, the gold and silver that was with them. Rashi. Because you know, you saw the nations worshiping idolatry. And maybe the heart of one of you might have persuaded him to go after them. Let's say there is amongst you a man or a woman so therefore Rashi says, why do I need to make you take an oath? Because you passed amongst the nations. Maybe there was amongst you somebody who went after them, like I guess a crypto idolater. So therefore, that's why it makes you take an oath. You saw their abominations. Al shem usim kishgatzim. So this is the non-ecumenical part of the Torah. It says, Rashi says we call the idols disgusting because they're revolting. Yeah, so there was when I was growing up, the rabbis in the yeshiva used to refer to other people of other faith by that term.
Which term?
It's a derogatory term referring referring to other people in a manner that's repulsive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shagets.
I mean, those are not nice terms.
Right. But you're right.
Not at all. Not at all. And while it might have been defensible in a person who survived the Holocaust, but today there's no defense for using such terms. Shiksa, the term shiksa almost became a now it's like people joke about it, like
but they should.
No, I'm saying non-Jewish women joke about it. But it's no, it's not okay to call somebody by those terms. They're detestable idols. They stink and they're disgusting like excrement. Idols have qualities in common with excrement, Rashi's saying. Okay. Eitz va'evan, wood and stone. Otan shel eitzim v'shel avanim, those of wood and stone. Ra'item begaloi, you saw them in the open. Ufi she'ena goy yarei, shema yiganvu. The idolaters are not afraid that they might be stolen. Shel kesef v'zahav imahem, but those of silver and gold are with them. B'chadrei maskitam, they hide them in their rooms. Ufi she'em yireim, shema yiganvu. So you saw their idols of wood and stone, those they left outside because they weren't worried somebody was going to steal them. But you didn't see their gold and silver because that they hid away. And then it says in the verse 17, Penyesh bachem isha o isha o mishpacho shevet asher lo poneh yom yima Adonai Eloheinu la'alachat la'avod et Elohei hagayim lahem. Penyesh bachem shoresh pora rosh v'la'ana. So, okay, so lest there is amongst you a man or a woman, or a family or a tribe even, whose heart will turn today from Hashem to serve other gods, to serve these other gods, lest there be amongst you a root, pore rosh, vilana, growing. Now, rosh and lana are, I mean, there's an English translation here which will not help us, but Rashi will tell us what it means. The English translation of rosh and lana are gall and whorehound. You know what gall and whorehound are? Sam, you're a ranger. You have to know this. You're a gardener. What?
I should know. Hemlock and wormwood.
Is that how they translate in yours?
What it says here, yeah.
Wow, rosh, right. In modern day Hebrew, hemlock is rosh in modern Hebrew. So that we live on Rosh Street, or Besamim Rosh, it's called. Hemlock is called. There's yeshivas on Besamim Rosh, the spice of hemlock. There was a very, very famous book of responsa that was found in the modern period, and it was called the Besamim Rosh. And the author, who I think comes from a place near where Rabbi Yosef lives, he passed it off as this was the responsa of the Rosh, the medieval, the great medieval sage, and he discovered it. But the scholars say it was a forgery. So and he had written this pseudepigraphically. Anyway, Rashi says, "Pen yesh b'chem shema yesh b'chem ish." Lest there be amongst you a man asher lavavo poneh hayom, whose heart is turning today, milakabo olav habris, from accepting the covenant upon himself, Shoresh pora rosh vilana, a root. What does it mean? Shoresh megadel esev mar, a root which grows a bitter herb. Jerry, are you trying to say something?
No.
Oh, okay, fine. So I'm just going to mute you for a second, so that because I hear some background noise there. And when you're ready to unmute, either you raise your hand or you'll unmute. And when you're ready to speak. So Shorish Pora Rosh V'ana Shorish Mingadel Esav Maris, a root which grows a bitter herb. Kegidin Shem Marim, such as Gidin, which are bitter. Komar Mafre Umarbeh Rashai, grows and increases wickedness. Bekir B'chem, in your midst. Maybe Dan knows. Dan, did you ever hear of gal and whorehound?
Gal and whorehound? No.
Maybe Judah uses it in his anesthesiology in your drugs. Judah, do you ever use gal and whorehound?
Which one is that?
Whorehound, do you ever use that?
Not that I know of.
Gall.
What about
gall?
Gall. Do you use gall?
Gall.
Gall and wormwood, Judah, do you use that?
Nope.
What kind of doctor are you?
I'm a foreign doctor.
Oh, that's right. You're foreigner. You're foreigner.
IMG, International Med Grad.
Okay, you're not
IMG.
Yeah, you can't know you can't be up on all the latest pharmacological technology. So this is a relatively recent herb. It was only going back to the time of the Torah. So you haven't brushed up on the recent literature yet.
I don't know.
Rabbi,
I ain't get to that doc yet.
we don't use those things anyway. So remember that those two the payment gittin that you said that we don't.
Right. We don't. Right. I'm sorry, Theo, what were you saying?
I have to ask Joel. I'm talking to him later tonight. He should know about all the chemicals and stuff.
Yeah, he'll know about these gall and whorehound. Yeah.
So
it's an herb. It's not really.
So
it's just an herb.
Gall and wormwood. I mean, here in the Bible, it's a metaphor, of course, for bitterness.
Right.
But wormwood is the English translation of basically absinthe.
Oh.
Okay.
Which is what, cyanide or something?
No, absinthe was it's a drink.
Yeah.
You can drink absinthe, but it's a hallucinogen.
Right.
Oh, that always is fun.
And,
Did you hear that, Judah? It's a hallucinogen.
And gall is
We still don't use that.
Poppy / opium.
Oh, these are opiums. Judah, this is right
It's
up.
a hallucinogen and an opium.
Judah, you should know this, that gall is basically opium. Come on, Judah.
Well, we don't use opium. We use fentanyl.
You used to, when you went to medical school, they used opium.
That's true. I visited an opium den when I was in China, but that's about it.
Why would you visit an opium den?
In China, it was ubiquitous, also everywhere.
Okay.
Trying these
Okay.
big words, Rabbi.
Whatever you do is
What
fine
year
with
was
me.
that?
Okay.
What year was the visit to the opium den?
Yeah, when did you visit the opium den, Judah?
That's confidential, Rabbi.
That was, the answer is 2 weeks ago. He was just going to do research.
Yeah, educational.
All right. Well, the closest thing we have to hallucinogens is ketamine. I use that.
Use ketamine, and you mean you give people, when you put them under, you give them ketamine?
If I have to, yeah.
Decades. And now it's being explored, including by Jonathan's company, as a part of a therapy for depression.
Yeah, well, I can imagine that it works for depression. If you start hallucinating and thinking that you're somebody else or somewhere else, you're not going to be depressed anymore, right?
No, it's only for the people who the meds don't work. It's a last resort. If they're intolerant of the basic ones, then we go to that. And first shock therapy, then this.
You mean it's really the last resort, ketamine?
Well, I mean, it's based on the person, then psychiatrist.
Right. Okay. Okay, I understand. So you don't use it in anesthesia then?
Ketamine, yeah, I do a lot.
It can be used in anesthesia.
Okay.
There are also a lot of off-label clinics that are now using it for depression.
Okay, I understand. I see. So it's the
We have a
it's,
very, very low dose for depression. We give much more. So they're happy.
okay. Gotcha. Anyway, so basically these are very potent herbs. The Rosh and the Lana, very potent herbs that they were saying, lest there be amongst you somebody who's this very potent herb that has very destructive qualities that can really destroy you if misused. I'm wondering, so hemlock we know is poisonous, but I'm wondering if hemlock could also have medicinal qualities if used in the right substances. I haven't used in the right proportions.
I don't think so.
What about cyanide? Is that ever used in a healthy way?
Cyanide?
Yeah.
If the death benefits are a lot, yeah, that's
Okay.
healthy. The other guy.
Thank you, Judah. Thank you. We're very, very proud to know you. Okay.
It works on Russian spies.
Hemlock is purely poisonous.
Raya. So I guess you could use it to kill rats or something. Vaya b'shamo es divrei alazos. When you hear this oath, v'isbarech b'vavo lemor. He will bless himself in his heart, saying, "Shalom yeli, it shall be peaceful to me. Ki b'shrirusli bi'elech, because I'll go as my heart sees fit. Aman sifos haravas hatzmiyah." Thereby adding the drunk with the thirsty. Let's see what the Rashi says here. Let's see what Rashi says about this. I'm just going to mute everybody, Judah. Okay. Vayakishamo es divrei. Vayakishamo es divrei alazos. When he hears this, Rashi says, "Visparech bo vavo," bless himself in his heart. Rashi says, "Vashom bracha." Rashi says this is an expression of a blessing. This is a blessing. Yachshov b'libo. He's going to think in his heart when he hears this oath, Birkat shalom la'atzmo, a blessing of peace to himself, saying, Lo yivuuni kolot halalo ach shalom yoli. He's going to think, I don't want these curses to come to me. I want only the blessings. Misparech, and he'll bless himself. In French, this is bindira say. That's the French form, bindira say, of blessing. Kamo vitkalach. Rashi's telling us the form. Rashi's telling us the grammar of French. So we see this is unusual. This is a very unusual Rashi because Rashi doesn't usually tell us the syntax in French. He's just usually tells us how they say it in modern, and how they say it in medieval French. But here he's saying the grammatical form in French. It's unusual. He says, "Bishrirusli bi elech, I go as my heart sees fit. B'maritli bi, I follow the vision of my heart. Kamo ashurenu v'lo karov, like I view it, but it's not near. Komar mashali bi ro'ela, so that which my heart sees fit to do. Aman sifos harava, to adding the drunk with the thirsty. Rashi says, Lafisha osifo paranios, because I'll add on a punishment for him. Amasha asad hena, from what he did till now, b'shogeg. Vayisi maviro ehem v'gorei matashaf sarfeim imamezid. Rashi says that if they violate the oath, God is saying, I'll add on the punishment to him, and I'll combine everything he did till now accidentally, and I'll combine it with the purposeful sin. And I'll take punishment for everything. As Unkos explains, if you continue to sin intentionally, God will take your accidental sins and combine it with your intentional sins. With the drunk, which is the Rava, with the thirsty. Rashi says the drunk is the shogeg. That refers to the accidental sin. So if you sin accidentally while you're drunk, but then, and that's this is so basically, let's say you insult somebody when you're drunk, you can ignore it. But then if you insult a person when you're sober, now we take the accidental sin and we combine it with the intentional sin and give you a double punishment. Okay, now up to the next verse. Lo yoveh Hashem, we're in verse 19. Lo yoveh Hashem saloach lo. God will not be willing to forgive him. Ki az yashan af Hashem, because then Hashem's anger will be smoked. V'kinato, and his zeal ba'ishahu, on that man. V'ravtza bo kol Allah aksuva b'sefer zeh, and the entire oath. Well, here the word Allah can mean a curse or an oath. The entire oath will be the entire oath will go against this person. God will wipe out his name from under the heaven. We're in chapter 29, verse 19. Rashi says, Yashanaf Hashem, Hashem's anger will smoke. Ayidekas, through anger. Aguf mitchamim, the body will heat up. Ve'ashan yotzei min af, and the smoke will come out from the nose. Has anybody ever seen this ever? Smoke coming out of somebody's nose when they're angry?
Yeah, in movies.
In movies, but has anybody ever seen it in person? Like, is that really something that happens?
Well, if you smoke a lot, pipe, or inhale.
I mean, if it's cold enough, I've seen like, it's not really smoke, mist come out of the nostrils of horses, right? It's cold. It's cold.
Allegedly, someone was electrocuted. That's what happens.
That's interesting.
We mean when their body dies. Then when
right.
Or when you're struck by lightning, but that's not in anger. That's just because you have electricity going through your body. So the smoke is going to go out from every pore, I guess. Okay.
It come out of your nostrils.
What?
It's not, doesn't really come out of your nostrils. You're basically burned up.
I don't know. Judah's saying this. I don't know what he's basing it on, but we can. Well, that's a question we put on Korah if it's accurate. Yes, Shanaf Hashem. Rashi said, okay. So anyway, Rashi then says, and even though God himself obviously does not have smoke coming out of his nose, Rashi here says, obviously this doesn't happen, but the Torah wants to speak in a way which we're able to hear according to the normal way of the world. So that's why we give God his anthropomorphic qualities, which is unusual for Rashi to say that. Usually Rashi just gives God the anthropomorphic qualities and doesn't have to limit it. But here he does. Vikinaso, and his zeal on this man. What does this mean? Rashi says, Lashon chema is anger. An primant in French, an outburst of emotion that leads to action. Achizat levishat nekama, taking hold of the trait of being dressed with vengeance. The eno mavir amidan, not foregoing the measure, i.e., unforgiving. Okay, now we're up to the next verse. Vivdilo Hashem l'ra'ah mikol shiftei Yisrael. So if somebody does this, God will separate. If somebody violates the oath of the Torah, somebody will separate him for bad from all the tribes of Israel. Kechol alot habrit, like all the oaths of the covenant, haksuva b'sefer Torah that are written in this Torah. Rashi says, Omalu Omer, and above it said, Gam kol chaliv kol makal, any illness or blow, b'sefer Torah zot. Here we're going to skip the rest of that Rashi because it's all grammatical, and we're going to skip those. And now we come to the verse, and it says, V'amar ador acharon. Then a later generation will say, B'nechem asher yakumu mi'achrechem, that your children will rise up after you. V'anachri asher yavo me'eretz rechoka, and the foreigner will come from faraway land. V'ra'u et makot ha'aretz, and they will see these afflictions, v'tachuah, and their illnesses, asher chila Hashem ba, which Hashem has afflicted. Gafrit v'melach, sulfur and salt, sreifa kol artzah, are burning up the land. Lo tizarav lo tatzmich, the land is not being able to be sown or to flourish. Lo yaleh b'kol esav, nothing is growing on it. K'mapechat sdom v'amorah, like the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Adma u'tzvoyim, Adma and tzvoyim, asher afach Hashem ba'apov v'chamas, so that God turned over in His wrath and His anger. V'amru kol gayim, and all the nations will say, why is this happening? Amasa Hashem. They're not going to say it's global warming. This was before global warming. They're going to say, what happened here to make everything upset? It's because they abandoned God. It's covenant that God made with them when He led them out of Egypt. When He led them out of Egypt. And they went and they worshipped other gods. Elohim Asher, and they bound to God, nations that gods that did not know them, and did not apportion to them. What does that mean? Rashi says, and they bowed down to them. That they knew not. The people did not become aware of their being in them, any divine power. He did not apportion to them. He did not give them as their portion. They did not benefit Israel with any goodness. He did not give them any portion. Verse 26. And God was angry at the land to bring upon it all this curse. Aktuva b'sefer hazeh, that's written in this work. Vayitchem Hashem me'al admatam, and God removed them from their soil. Ba'afu b'chema, with anger and wrath. Ketzef gadol, with tremendous wrath. Vayatshechem al eretz acheres kayom hazeh, God sent them out to another land as this very day. What does this mean? Vayitchem ketar gumo. The Tal Turun, He expelled them. I will evict them from their land. Okay, now we have the next verse, which actually, yes, Jerry, you had a question. Jerry?
The word Basefer Hazer, there were books in those days.